You gotta appreciate the Electra Glide and everything it's meant to do to the company.
Indeed, it's been everywhere. It's been everywhere from This 2021 FLH is designed after the 1969 FLH, the Electra Glide. The Electra Glide was the first FLH model in 1969 to come with an electric start. Its predecessor, the Hydro Glide, coined the term because of the hydraulic front suspension, was more of a stripped down version. The 1969 FLH was the first to have the batwing fairing that everybody knows and everybody loves. It's been everywhere. It's been everywhere from police departments to ex-military, everybody knows Harley-Davidson batwing fairing. It was the 1969 model was the last Harley-Davidson model to have the pan head. So that means it had electric start, but it also had a kick. So unfortunately, this one does not have a kick start, but I do believe kickstarting a 114 cubic inch motor would prove rather difficult. But one thing they did nail the tri-tone paint job with the high five blue and the birch white and this seat. It is a spring seat. It's more of a shock than a spring under the seat, and it looks really, really period correct. We've got a 1960 dual glide sitting on the showroom floor out there, and apples to apples, they did a really good job bringing it back. It does provide a really, really good ride. It's nice and smooth. The seat height is a little bit tall. Me being a taller guy doesn't bother me at all. I'm flat-footed on here. It actually stretches me out a little bit, makes me a little bit more comfortable in my riding position. I don't feel like my knees are in my chest like I do on a normal electric glide. Really, really smooth ride, because essentially you've got a whole another shock in the back, which is hard to beat, having an extra shock. Of course, you got the 114, so you got just gobs of torque and power to get down the road. Handling wise, it handles great. It handles just like any other street glide or road glide. Maybe a little bit better considering the seating position for me. It does feel nice and nimble going through the course out in the front there, going through those little curves and U-turns and stuff like that. Nothing felt any kind of weird. It actually probably felt better than your standard 21 road glide or street glide would. They kept a traditional halogen bulb up front to keep the aesthetic old school, just like it should be. And if anybody's mad about it, that's a personal problem. And while we're looking up front, we'll notice that they went with a spoked wheel front and back on this motorcycle to continue with the very classic 1960s look, as well as the white wall tires. Now, we do have some updates up there with the dual disc front brakes, the single disc back brake, because stopping is just as important as going. What I really like about this bike though is I like that it takes you back to the solo idea of riding a motorcycle, getting out by yourself, getting lost, and riding until you just can't ride anymore. We've got all the ability in the world. This thing feels like a brand new motorcycle. It's got the power, it's got the reliability, but it looks like something classic, an absolute blast from the past. Last thing I want to touch on performance and ride on this motorcycle is Harley-Davidson's new RDRS system, the Reflex Defensive Rider System. It gives you vehicle hold control, tire pressure monitoring, cornering enhanced ABS, and traction control. It's really designed to give you the most confidence while you're out riding you can possibly have. And I will say from experience that vehicle hold control is super, super useful. Not having to feather the clutch or hold the brakes while you're at a stoplight is very nice. Yeah, everything's just designed to keep you rolling down the road instead of skidding or sliding. It's a good system to have.
Well, how is it?
It's really nice, actually. Feels a little bit bouncier, probably.
Yeah.
But I'm into it.
Okay, Justin talked a little bit about the history of this bike, how it rides, the Milwaukee-Eight 114 engine, with the seat height being a little bit different, how it feels as far as just cruising down the road, things like that. I'm going to talk about who this bike was really meant for. In my opinion, this is one of the most unique bikes Harley-Davidson's ever manufactured, or at least in the last couple decades. For a couple reasons. Really, to me, it's the sleek classic style that grabs your eyes, right? I mean, designed after a 1969 Electra Glide, it's hard not to say, man, that just looks like a blast from the past. And so you'd think, man, only older riders or people who really appreciate the classics might enjoy this ride. But as a younger rider, as someone who identifies as a live wire enthusiast, this bike really kind of, for a bagger, can appeal to a wide range of riders. With the Boom audio infotainment system, the touchscreen edition of the infotainment system, the sleek modern feel of that inner fairing, as well as the Milwaukee-Eight 114 engine. Like, this thing has all the get up and go you need. Even though like it may be a little bit better of a cruising bike, you can make it a performance. But to me, like, this bike just screams, I'm cruising through cornfields. I'm just having like a grand old time. This seat is so comfortable. And the riding position in this seat is just like a lean back, relax, enjoy the ride kind of position. So while it does have the performance capabilities, I would not say this is like a huge performance bagger type of motorcycle. I still think road glides, specifically road glide specials, you take off some of those stretched bags, you get some of the standard bags on it, you put a stage 2, stage 4. There's your performance bagger right there. This bike is for those people who wake up at 5 in the morning, they got their first cup of coffee, they're enjoying the sunrise, they're listening to some classic rock, cruising down the road. They're not 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. I want to ride 300 miles today. I want to enjoy the road. I just want to experience the road. I want to experience the ride. And I really think that this bike like really speaks to just the cruising nature of Harley-Davidson's history.
So I've been talking about all the things about this bike that I love, and there are a lot of them, but there are things that I don't love about this bike too. I don't love that they didn't paint the inner fairing. The inner fairing is that matte black plastic finish. They could have done away with that and done either a gloss black to match the rest of the gloss on the bike, or even if they had painted it this black denim to match the one of the 3 colors on the motorcycle, I think that would have been a lot better. The other thing I don't like about this bike is I don't like that it's actually going to require somebody to be quite a bit taller to handle this bike. I'm 6'3", and I think if I were any shorter, I would not be flat-footed the way I am. It is definitely made for a taller rider or someone who is confident enough to hold it up with one leg, which I suppose the RDRS system would help you do that, using the vehicle hold control to hold it in place while you're at a stoplight. Sure, it's great. I don't like that they didn't go with a true dual setup on the exhaust. They went with a 2 into 1 into 2 like they do on everything else. Probably for emissions sakes and stuff like that. But a true dual setup on this bike would really set it off, especially with a pair of fishtails sticking out the back. It would be pretty rad.
Justin kind of touched on a couple things he didn't like about this bike. Neither Justin nor myself are really bagger riders. Like I said earlier, I'm a huge Livewire fan. I love the Street Bob. I love the Lowrider S. Justin's on a Dyna Wide Glide. We're very much Softail Dyna riders, and we love those motorcycles. He kind of talked about what he didn't like. What I love about this motorcycle, we've talked about the paint, and it's a great looking motorcycle. It definitely catches the eyes. I think, honest to God, my favorite thing about this motorcycle is how time sensitive and accurate they were. Justin kind of touched on how he didn't like the painted or the lack of a painted interfering. I don't disagree. I wish it would be a gloss interfering or maybe something to match the denim a little bit more. But if you're talking about sensitivity to the time, they nailed it. Harley-Davidson absolutely nailed it with the interfering, with the paint scheme, specifically the seat. I absolutely love the chrome on the front fender and the badge. Nothing elicits emotion for me like a specific Harley-Davidson badge. I don't know what it is, whether you're talking about the bronzed out Lowrider S badging, or again, you're looking at a little bit more of the sporty Harley-Davidson badging with the Livewire, or the #1 badging, whether you're talking about the new Snake Venom or the new Snake Venom paint job, or the new Street Bob, or you just got the classic bar and shield. Harley-Davidson badging elicits an emotion that really no other logo I've ever come across does. And I think they stuck to the times, and they absolutely nailed it. Another thing I really like about this is the one-touch saddlebags. These are easily the best saddlebags Harley-Davidson has ever manufactured. There's something great about it being that simple to get to what you're looking for. And then the last thing I want to touch on, as far as things I personally like about it, some people might disagree with this, but for me, I love that it is a single rider motorcycle. To me, this is a motorcycle that I wouldn't even want to put slip-ons on. I would want to keep this thing as stock as humanly possible, because it really is a perfect time capsule of the 1969 Electra Glide. This thing is absolutely beautiful.
All right, guys, that about does it for me. I think I'm done yammering your ear off about this beautiful motorcycle. If you want to know more about it, swing back into the dealership. I'll be more than happy to talk about it, show it to you. This thing.